What's up guys? Welcome to my channel. This is my first video. My name is Mikey and I specialize in weight loss, fat loss, training and nutrition. So let's not waste too much time because with this first video, I want to solve a problem that I know a lot of you are going through. And that is my top reasons why people can't lose weight. I think everybody can relate to this video. So let's dive in, and I want to start with 3 honorable mentions. Number 1, artificial sweeteners. Things like diet sodas, no calorie products, things like Walden's Farm syrup. If you've ever dieted for any prolonged period of time, then you know the temptation to chew gum, things like this, is very, very high, especially because you're hungry. So the thing about no calorie products is there's no such thing. There are low calorie products, and these products actually contain calories that people think that it says 0 calories. I can just eat as much as I want, and people are eating packs of gum, you know, because people aren't just eating a little bit. They are eating a lot of these different things because they don't think they have calories in them. The truth behind these is they actually are able to be labeled no calorie if they are less than 5 calories. So if we're talking about 3 or 4 calories per stick of gum and you're eating a pack of gum, I mean, that's gonna add up. After helping clients reach their weight loss goals and going back through and tracking all of these no calorie products, because you have to look at things over the whole. You can't just look at things on a daily basis. So going back and looking at these things, I've seen these add up to hundreds of calories. So that's honorable mention number 1. Number 2, stress. So if you're a high stress individual, you're gonna have a harder time losing weight because with high stress comes stress hormones, and these hormones do inhibit weight loss. Now, I'm not saying if you're a high stress person, you can't lose weight, or that these things will permanently halter your weight loss. I'm just saying that the higher stressed you are, the harder time you're going to have losing weight. And nothing exacerbates stress like weight loss. And it's kind of like a perpetuating cycle. People get stressed and anxious over the weight loss. The weight loss causes stress. And so it's kind of a cycle, and higher stress people in general have a more difficult time losing weight than lower stress people. So if you're a higher stress person, I recommend doing whatever you need to do to work on that, and to, you know, you can't, it's not realistic to eliminate stress, but you should manage it. And my last honorable mention is going to be sleep. So sleep is a funny thing because everyone is so unique with their sleep cycle and their sleep patterns. So when it comes to sleep, some people can function off of very minimal sleep and still feel completely refreshed and completely recovered. You know, I'm talking about 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep. I would say 4 or 5 is on the very lower end. Other people can need, you know, I'll actually include myself here, require more sleep. 8 hours minimum, upwards of 9, 10 hours to feel refreshed. So there is no, you know, one generalization for how much sleep you should get, but you should be getting enough sleep where you feel refreshed, you feel recovered, and you know, you feel at your best. Because again, to go along with the stress, if you're not sleeping and you're not recovering, you're going to be releasing hormones that are not great for weight loss, and this will, along with the stress, impede your weight loss. Okay, so let's dive into this list now that we have those honorable mentions, and these are going to be relatively in order. So I'm gonna start with number 7, and that is eating at too many restaurants. Now, This is common for people who are losing weight. If you're eating at a lot of restaurants, you're going to find weight loss becomes harder because you're just not sure of what these portions are. When I talk to people about eating at restaurants, they'll mention, okay, well, I'm eating within my calorie goals or I'm eating healthy. What do you mean by healthy? And that's a question I ask. When you say healthy, what do you mean? Usually people are talking about, they're choosing from food sources that will help them lose weight. Well, the thing about restaurants is you're not preparing your food. If you're not preparing your food, the chef in the back or the cook in the back is not concerned about portions. He's not weighing your food, and he's also cooking things the way that he wants to cook them. And usually most chefs and most cooks will cook with butter and oil. What is butter and oil? Lots and lots of fat. What is fat? Lots and lots of calories. So these are calories that not only people usually don't want when they order these meals, but they're not even aware that it's happening. I've had clients check in and be so discouraged because they're not losing weight for the week. And when we go back and track what was happening, they'll talk about, their meal and got it. And I ask, how did it taste? Did it taste, explain to me how it tasted. And when they talk about how it tasted, it's clear that this meal, whether it would be chicken, fish, vegetables, it tasted really good, And of course these things taste good, but we know if you lather them in butter and oil, it's gonna taste a lot better. So if you are eating at restaurants, and I would never ever tell somebody not to do these things. My goal here is to teach and to educate so you know what to expect when you do. And also if you do decide to go do these things, you know how to specify how to get things ordered so you're staying within your goals. So I always recommend getting things prepared and cooked with no butter and no oil, and even then you'll still, they cook with utensils that have this stuff on them, but at least this way you're managing your calories with your restaurant meals. Okay, number 6, snacking, picks and bites. Now this is also another really common one, and if you say you've never done this, you're lying. If you've cooked and you're sitting there cooking and you maybe there's some chips. Hey, the bag's open. You throw a chip or two in your mouth. Maybe you're making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and you take a lick of the spoon. That stuff all adds up, and this is a habit that again, and you'll notice a pattern here. People aren't fully aware that they're doing it. It just becomes, it's just a natural thing to do, and then you forget about it, and then you go to weigh yourself for the week, and you're like, what? I'm doing everything right. What happened? Well, were you really doing everything right? So, being honest with yourself, knowing, okay, I'm going to grab, the chips or the, chocolate or whatever, and being like, maybe I should track this, or, maybe I should just not do that. So, because again, I've gone back and I've discussed this, and I've seen this stuff add up to hundreds of calories being missed throughout the week. Number 5, not weighing your food. Now, this is going to, I do think everybody can benefit from this, but people who have been doing this, living this lifestyle for a long period of time, they're gonna have to be more conscious with their portions over someone who's just getting into it, someone who is very overweight. Because when you're very overweight and you just start doing this stuff, the weight comes off a lot quicker than if you have been doing it for a while. So the more experienced you are, the more you have to pay attention to things like portions in order to keep yourself in a calorie deficit, that's really what we're discussing here today. So by weighing your food, it's going to keep things very, very predictable, because food portions, let's just use a piece of bread for example, they come in a weighed portion. So companies are allotted a huge margin of error on what they actually give you versus what the label says. So if you have a food scale and you take that piece of bread and you put it on the food scale, and let's say that piece of bread weighs 30 grams, you're gonna notice when you put it on the scale, it might weigh 36 grams. It might weigh 27 grams. It might weigh 45 grams, okay? You just don't know. But this is just one incident. If you take every food source throughout your day and throughout your week, this is gonna add up to, again, hundreds and hundreds of calories that you are completely unaware of. So by weighing your food, it allows things to stay predictable with your weight loss, and it actually allows you to eat more food because you're actually eating what you think you're eating. So if you think you're on a 1400 calorie diet and you're not weighing everything, you might actually be on an 18 or 1900 calorie diet. Number 3, people just don't know how much they're eating. And this goes back to calories. When someone asks me how do they lose weight, one of the questions I have to ask is, how many calories are you eating? And 99% of the time, people aren't aware of how many calories they're eating. And there's nothing wrong with that, but in order to learn how to lose weight, you need to learn how much you're eating, because calories all matter. So what I recommend is people tracking their calories. You know, you can use a free app like MyFitnessPal. You can use pen and paper, but be honest with yourself as you're going through and track everything, log everything, and write down these calories. And so at the end of the week, you have a really good idea of what you're eating, how much you're eating, and then from there you can go ahead and start adjusting your calories. And that's actually going to lead me into my next point, which is number 2. You haven't adjusted your calories. And you wouldn't believe how many people actually don't know about this, because all of our metabolisms do adapt. So let's say you're doing everything right. Let's say you've gone through this list and you've honestly assessed yourself and you're doing everything right. Well, then it's time to adjust your calories, because the more you do this, the more metabolism is going to do its job, which is to adapt to everything. So adapt to your current nutrition, and you have to adjust those calories. And the more weight you lose, the lower those calories need to go. So, and you don't have to do anything major. You don't have to cut your calories by 1,000 or anything like that. If you're doing all these things and you're going through this, and you can even use this as a checklist, if you're going through this and you know what you're eating, you know how much you're eating, and you're still not losing weight, adjust those calories. You know, adjust them 200-300 calories, 100 calories, see what happens and see how your weight does. And if you haven't adjusted your calories in a long time, this will make sure you keep yourself in that calorie deficit. And that's going to lead me to my last and final point today, and that is calories, calories, calories. You must know how many calories you're taking in. You must know how many calories you're eating. And you must be consistent. That was another point I had on here. Consistency within those calories. You know, a lot of times people will think they're being consistent, but they go out on the weekend. You know, they have a cheat meal. Well, that all adds up, and that is enough to cause an interference with your weekly deficit. You don't have to restrict all these things, but if you're keeping track of your calories and you know how much you're eating, well, then you can go and do these things without being so confused as to why you're not getting anywhere. So calories, calories, calories. Make sure you're being honest with yourself. Stay in your calorie deficit, and you should be able to solve this problem with your weight stall. So that's my video for today. Again, I'm going to be focusing on the topics of nutrition, training. I'm going to give some scenarios because I coach dozens and dozens of people online, so I'm going to discuss certain scenarios with you guys, and I'm really going to try to help make this stuff simple, because once you learn it and once you know what to expect, it all becomes very predictable, and it is really simple. So that's what I want to do for you. All right, guys, that's it for my video today.